Happy Tuesday, December 22nd is the last Tuesday live of the year. Aren't you all tired of listening to us anyway?
The grand finale. We hope everybody is completely and prepared for Christmas and you've got all of your shopping done because there's only a few more days left. So
I think at this point, nobody wants anything. They just want out. Like they want a trip. Where can we go? We're all done. Like, keep your gifts. We don't want it. We just want out. But it looks like we're going to have a little bit longer. So anyway, hanging on to December of 2020, the year that will go down in history for sure. What is an OBM? That's what we started this whole series with, on what is an online business manager? Do you need an online business manager or a VA? Which one do you hire first? And we're going to wrap it up this week with, when you hire an OBM or a VA, whichever person you've decided to start with, how do you know what that person is going to do for you? And how, like, are you telling them what they're going to do for you? Or are you getting them to tell you what they're going to do for you? How do you decide?
As we've said in the last several weeks, it depends. So the reality is, in the ideal situation or the ideal world, you would want an OBM or a VA that's working with you. And that way there's open lines of communication both ways, so that they are open and receptive to the ideas and guidance that you give them, and that you are open and receptive to the ideas and guidance that they give you, and leverage their experience and leverage their expertise, while at the same time they're understanding and leveraging your experience and your expertise. So I guess the message here is it depends. And I think it in each case, it's different. So you may have to have a little more assertiveness with one or the other. So let's say your VA that's doing your social media, or the one that's doing your copywriting or whatever, you may give them very specific and clear, the copyright person, for example, here's what I want my messaging to look like. Here's the type of language that I use. I want you to put it in this order. I want it written out this way. I want this many words, and then just let them go and use their creativity. In the same team situation, you may take a slightly different approach, for example, with your OBM, if you have both, and say, OBM, I know that you have expertise and you've got a working relationship with all the various people on the team. You spent maybe a little bit more time with them than I have one-on-one on a regular basis. What do you think? What could or should be our next direction? And so there's a time and a place, and that may change from day to day with the same person. So the reality is, you need to be fluid as the owner. And as Hilary said last week, it really depends on what personality type you have. And you have to be very aware of that, because there are certain things that we all know that are very important to us, right? What's important to the owner or what's important to the leader gets done. And so if it's important to you, it's that much more difficult for you to hand off that responsibility and trust that someone else is going to do it exactly the way that you would do it, or the way that you want. So that's where that working relationship has to be very strong. Open lines of communication, very clear open lines of communication. Don't let feelings get hurt when maybe someone doesn't necessarily like the things that you do or see the things the way that you do, but be open and receptive to it. And then really you have to find someone on your team, the VA or the OBM, the same way. So we would encourage you to interview multiple people with either of those two categories, if and when you decide to start reaching out.
Right. And
right,
Bob, back to you. Right. And that's, I think in a perfect world, everyone likes to think that I can just hand you a printout and this is how you do it, and that's how it's going to go down. And it rarely works that way. Like, especially
in the virtual space, because so much of that work, say we hire someone, right? And we've done this. We've hired someone that's done lead generation for us, and they jump onto a social media platform and they start sending out messages, and it looks like it's coming from us. And then as soon as someone responds to a message, that's when they hand it over to us, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason for that is, sure, could we pay more money for this person to continue to engage with somebody who might be a potential client or prospect for us? Well, sure, that would be great. And that would be way more time efficient for us. But the reality is, she doesn't know our business nearly the way that we do. She doesn't know what's going on in our heads. She doesn't necessarily know how to answer or respond to every single question or comment. And so while she could probably cover 60% of the things that come up, she can't cover them all. What if they have a very specific question that only one or both of us knows the answer to it or can properly answer it? So that the trouble in the virtual space is they only know about you what they can learn. And so they're not working with you side by side for 20 years, and they've been out to dinner with you and your family, and they know your history. They don't. It's going to be a learning curve, especially at the beginning, as both of you learn each other's styles, how each person communicates, the best way to deliver and receive information. That's going to take some time. So our best advice is go with the flow, ask questions, be involved, but don't micromanage, because that doesn't lead to good things. But set up I guess I would set up regular lines of communication and make them consistent so that it's organized. So guys, when you first hire a VA or an OBM, especially if it's for a long-term contract, maybe you meet once a week for 20 or 30 minutes on a Zoom call and just, hey, give me a status update. How are we doing with things? What can I do to help? How can I support you? Maybe over the course of time, when you start to build that trust with each other, then maybe that's every 2 weeks. And then as more and more time goes on, maybe you only need to meet with each other once a month. And then over time, maybe it's, God, you can communicate via text or email or Slack or whatever it is.
That's the problem now. There's too many ways to communicate.
Right. Well, just decide what your communication manner is going to be. And maybe early on, there needs to be a little bit more back and forth communication as both of you start to learn each other. But over time, once that happens, once you start to build that trust and rapport with each other, I think you'll find that it's an amazing working relationship, because they really do become an extension of you as the owner. And it frees you up to take on more clients, take on more responsibility that you can, again, disperse out to a team of VAs under the supervision of your OBM. It allows you to think about strategy and really allow you to scale your business in ways that you just wouldn't have been able to if you were physically doing all of those things or managing all of those things yourself.
And I think we'll wrap up December of 2020 by saying this, that not everybody you hire is going to be a perfect fit. Don't sign a super long contract with the first person you hire. Do like a 3 or 6 month contract with a renewal, because you never really know how it's going to be to work with somebody until you do it. You may think that you want somebody to take your social media away, and then later you decide there's something else that you'd rather give away instead of social media. So it just kind of depends. And also keep in mind this, it doesn't matter who owns your company or who you work for. 74% of people leave their employer because they feel not appreciated. So make sure that you are kind and generous to the people that work for you, and they will stay a long time, because that's normally what happens with good employees. They stay a long time.
Yeah, we know people in this virtual space that are VAs and or OBMs like us that have been, we'll call it, fired by a client, and they're happy about it.
Oh yeah, people they can't wait to get fired. I don't know. That's a whole nother thing for January. Yeah. Like,
we'll talk about that in January. How to take care of them.
Why do you wait to get fired if you're not that happy? Why don't you just walk and find somebody else? Like, life's too short. But anyway, happy December. We wish you all a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. I don't know what other holiday there is. I think I hit them all. Happy New Year. And we'll see you in January of 2021, which has got to be better than 2020.
2021, right? Here we come.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.